All right, welcome back. CITIUS MAG live from Eugene, Oregon. I'm Chris Chavez, joined by my co-host Eric Jenkins here, and we've already got our first special guest. We are joined by three-time Olympian, right?
Yeah,
three-time Olympian, world champion in 2017, Emma Coburn. Emma, your Instagram is like kind of must-watch right now, just because it's like you're back to running. So right off the bat, how?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about this before we started, but I broke my ankle 8 weeks ago in China, had surgery 7.5 weeks ago, and got a screw put in my ankle, and I was strictly told I can't start the Ultra-G for 4 weeks, and then I had to do 2 weeks on the Ultra-G, but once I got through that prescription, now it's just like pushing it a little bit, and my body feels great. I feel like I did a lot of good cross training, and just feel so happy to be running. Like, I'm not running every single day, and I've done 2 workouts, and they're, just baby ones, but it feels good.
Yeah, it's incredible to kind of watch, and like the whole cross training mentality that, a couple months back before the Boston Marathon, like Emma Bates was just kind of open about like just seeing what it took for you to get back to the track, and then the hours that she also had to kind of put in. What is at the root of just sort of like this team boss mentality of just kind of the amount of time it takes to get back to full form? Because it seems like when you guys put in all this work, you guys come back and it's like you never missed a beat.
Yeah, the bummer about the Shanghai race, besides breaking my ankle, was that I had felt so great because I had done, again, a really good fall, winter, and spring coming off of tearing my hamstring last summer. And so much of that was a lot of cross training on the bike and kind of reformulating how many miles I did on the ground, and just shifting things around and evolving my training a bit. So the Shanghai race was a bummer because I only had 5 laps to try out this new fitness in a race prior to getting injured. And so I'm just kind of jumping back into that because everything in workouts and in practice that we can measure was showing that I was going to be at my best, and I was feeling great. So there's no reason to not do all this if it felt like it was working. And I think Bates showed that as well, that she came back and had a really great Boston Marathon after tearing her plantar. And yeah, we just sit on the stationary bike and watch Netflix and
blasting Taylor Swift.
Of course, that's usually like the last 10 minutes of my bike workouts has to be some Taylor Swift. But yeah, I think people when you're hurt can sometimes just feel sorry for themselves, and there's no need. Like, you're in this position, so you might as well be productive, and you might as well take advantage of every day that you have in your training. And so yeah, for me, that's just sitting on the bike and cross training a lot.
You're such a veteran in this sport. You've accomplished so much in your event. We were talking a little bit off before we started rolling. How many hours you've been putting in on the bike, which is tough. I think that's probably cross training on the stationary bike is really tough. What is at this stage keeping you so motivated and keeping you so hungry?
I feel like I just don't feel satisfied. Like, when I've had great performances and won medals or won Olympic trials or whatever, I'm very satisfied in that moment, but I'm always just thinking that I can get better, do better. And I'm a bit of a hard ass where I just want to keep working. I get so much confidence from work. And so I think all this cross training, I don't wake up every day needing to look at an inspirational poster of something, or a kitten, hang in there. I don't need some like external motivator to have me sit on that bike for 6 hours. It's that I'm so motivated and I gain so much confidence and joy and pride in my work that it's a no-brainer, and it's not easy, and there's days that it isn't very enjoyable, but most of the time I just turn my brain off and get to work, and then I can finish a week and be really stoked on what I just did.
What are, I guess, like the doctors saying? Because like it just seems like the timeline has just been like accelerated. Is it just sort of how much time you're putting in on the bike? It seems like you're coming back quick.
Yeah, I feel like my surgeon is in Vail, so he was great, but I haven't interacted with him a ton. I just followed his protocol for the first couple weeks. But even when I was getting ready to do my surgery, you know, I'm like, all right, when can I get back on the bike? And he says, well, you know, maybe a week. I was like, well, it's really important that I get back on the bike. He's like, okay, you can get on the bike after 2 days. Just don't sweat too much. So my surgeon was very open to having a little bit of, he works with elite athletes all the time. And so I think he's used to that. You know, he sets his guideline and then is used to an athlete kind of knowing their body best and kind of pushing it. I do think that all the biking I did really just, and lifting and all of that just kept my body really primed to where now I'm jumping in workouts and I'm certainly not Olympic trials fit. But I do think all the work I did and all the kind of work I requested that I'd be allowed to do for my surgeon is paying off with making my whole body ready to be an athlete again.
Mm-hmm. So I think one thing that I was overhearing in the mix zone, just sort of when they were like, it was Hillary Borer, I think, came through, and he's having a solid season after, you know, his own injury last year. Val Constein, same exact thing, sort of like that comeback. And then, you know, with Courtney being out, I think the question that was being asked to some of these athletes is like, is there something about just the steeplechase in general that just like makes it so tough, or recently has anything? Is it anything in the shoes or whatever it might be that like just has led to this string of injuries, or is it just sort of like all freak accidents?
I think there's two sides to it. One is both mine and Courtney's experience were somewhat freak accidents, which when you're in an event with jumping, you're at a way greater risk of a freak accident. And so obviously it's a more risky event. And then I do think the event with the hurdling and the water jump, it does wear your body down more than just a 5K. So there's both sides. And I think, unfortunately for Courtney and I, both of our situations were just bad luck. And Courtney last year, when she hurt her ankle on a water jump, same thing. So we just chose an event that is that is putting us at a bigger risk. But that is also, I think, why the Steeple's a really fun event to watch, is that there's chaos, there's drama. You could be leading the race, think you have it on lock, and you still got to jump over stuff, and you could fall, and something could happen. And so I think the collective, like, breath holding involved, like when you're watching someone at the end of a steeple when things are going well, you're still tense because you're like, just get over the barriers, get over the water jump, and it's not over until you cross that. I mean, until you cross the line, but until you get over that last barrier, it's still kind of a nerve-wracking event to participate in and to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You and your husband Joe have built such a good thing with Team Boss out in Colorado. Do you enjoy your role as, you know, you're not just a teammate to these young athletes, but I'm sure you're somebody that they've looked up to for years. Do you like that role as a mentor? And could you see yourself, you know, maybe in the years later when you hang it up, could you see yourself coaching and doing that?
I definitely, growing Team Boss has been really fun. And I think my role has more been leading by example, which I want to just be the person that does things the right way and doesn't complain and has the right mindset anyway. I'm not doing it in a performative way to make these young girls look up to me, but I think that's just kind of who I am, and that's a role that even when I was in college or in high school, that's leading by example, and being a leader is a very natural place I feel comfortable. In terms of the future and coaching and all of that, I think the joy that Joe and I have in being involved in the sport and helping athletes grow and progress, that would be a supernatural transition. And I'm sure a role that I would enjoy. Yeah. The hard thing is going to be, I think I should actually name this, but like, I think when an athlete goes into coaching, it probably is a little hard to separate yourself from that athlete, because you're like, well, I could do this workout. Why can't you? Oh yeah, you're 17. That's why. Or just being a little bit more patient and sensitive, as you would have to be when you're coaching teenagers. But I'm definitely, as far as Team Boss goes, it's a very fulfilling, joyful experience getting to watch athletes who not only you train with, but then you're married to their coach and you see all the work he puts in. When you see them succeed, it's so satisfying, and it really is overwhelming. And even just with the 3 girls who we have competing here, Gabby Jennings, Danny Jones, and Corey McGee, it's we were talking about it before we started recording. I'm like, I can't even talk about their races because I get so overwhelmed and so nervous.
So Gabby's one in particular, we're not going to touch on the race that's coming up, but to get to this point where, like, you know, she's someone who is a contender to make this team, and seeing you've had a front row seat to seeing that evolution in practice day in and day out. What has that kind of been like, and what do you, I guess, remember about the first time that, you know, when she joined the team, like what kind of an athlete she was?
Well, I met Gabby at the Wild Duck after the trials last year, as you know, all great relationships are formed there. So we were a few drinks deep, and I just, you know, was like, Gabby, whatever. I think I had just like traded tops with Nikki Hiltz in the bathroom. I don't really remember, but it was a good time.
Yeah.
And
a jersey switch.
no, you know what? My sister put my jersey on. That's what it was. And Nikki was there and was laughing. But no, my sister put my uniform on and went out with it. And so, yeah, I met Gabby in that moment. And so good times. But this is all to say it's been a very fun journey watching Gabby blossom. This year in particular, she kind of, she's right there. Yeah. This year in particular, she spent the fall in Crested Butte with me training. And really, I feel like just made a shift in committing to like this stubbornness of like, I am going to be better. And she trained in Crested Butte, which that's at 9,000 feet. That's not easy. We have snow. The weather's tough sometimes. It makes you harden up, you know, and she spent the fall there, and then again spent April and May there, and took care of me when I was on my crutches after surgery and stuff. And so we've spent a lot of time together, and I've just seen her dedication and discipline and commitment to being great. And it's been really, really fun to watch. And yeah, I think she has a really great career ahead of her.
So soon after sort of like your own injury, like it's sort of like I looked at it, and this is just sort of like how a fan would be like, oh, now like Emma's Gabby's secret weapon. Like there's no bigger resource that she can have in practice to help her, you know, fulfill her own sort of dreams here. You know, when you had to scratch the rest of your season, I guess, like did anything change in practice when it came to like, hey, like, all right, there were 3 spots on the team, and it's like, now I really want to pour more into you, you know, assuring and hoping that you get one of those spots.
Yeah, obviously you go through a little grief of your own stuff, but I think, as I said earlier, when an athlete is hurt, it's so easy to slip into self-pity and be selfish with your emotions, and that's not productive. That's not going to help anyone. And I think it really helped me to have a dog in the fight still, to say like, I'm going to, you know, come to your workouts on my crutches, and I'm going to be there to give you the support if you need. And so I'm super, super happy that she's contending for this team. And it does feel like, in a way, that's still a part of me, competing for a team spot. And yeah, she's just been so great. So I'm really, really looking forward to watching her race.
As we kind of like unpack, like on the more surface level, just like the women's steeplechase in the United States and just how it's leveled up year over year. You know, I had a conversation with Val Constein, I think a couple months back, where it was like, oh, like in 2021, like before the trials, she said it's going to take faster than 9:18 to make the team. And then, you know, at the pre-classic, they run faster than that. And I asked her, what do you think it's going to take? She's like, I think it's going to take sub 9:10 to make the team. And that's even without, you know, the likes of you and Courtney. What has changed in the sort of like the way that the women's steeplechase has been run here in the States that has made everyone just kind of go faster, even at the college level? Like NCAA record like only lasts a year nowadays.
Yeah, it's been really great to just see that 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place person become so fast, running the times that it used to be to win. I think for the last, you know, I think in 2015 I won the trials in 9:15 maybe, And that would probably make a team now, maybe. But now that's edgy on making a team versus like, you know, it used to be third place could maybe 1 and 2 would be running that fast, but third place was a little bit further back. So I think it's just iron sharpens iron, and it's like, you know, everyone is sending it, and I don't think anyone's putting limits on themselves to saying, oh, as long as I'm a 9:20 runner, I can make a team. It's like, no, you have to be a 9:08 runner. And I do think it's just not, you know you're not good enough, so you got to keep pushing, you got to keep improving, you got to keep changing the paces you're running in practice because you have a different standard now. And so that's been cool to see, just that depth in those, not just at the front, of course, but in those, you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th spots are just really coming up strong. And I don't have a full reason why, but I just think you start seeing the times that you have to run, and so you get there.
This kind of plays off, well, this question, but it's so tough to stay at the top of the sport, and you've done such a good job at staying right at the pinnacle. Are you constantly looking at ways to get better, besides just general fitness and improving your fitness in that sense? Are you constantly breaking down technique and trying to find ways that you can improve these little bits that are going to keep you at the top of
Joe's
the
big
sport?
Science guy.
No, Joe's a nerd. Like, he's always just sitting on our couch with his laptop every second of the day analyzing stuff. I do think that part of it is, of course, having the mental, like, endurance to be happy to continue training and happy to continue lining up for races for 15 years. Like, I think that's, some people have that and some people don't, and it's no knock on you if you don't, but I just think that's part of it, is just, do you have the mental, do you have like that mental endurance and interest in continuing on? And I feel like I could, if my body is interested in it, I feel like I don't see that finish line for me mentally. Like, I feel like I want to just keep pouring myself into it, training, grinding away, lining up on races, feeling those pre-race nerves. Like, the mental side of it, I got that. And I think as you age, though, you do have to start adapting. And I do think even going back to like 2019, we started adapting and changing how, you know, knowing how the races were run, of like, all right, well, Beatrice Chepkoech is going to go out in 250 for her first K. I have to be comfortable going out in 255 versus 305. So then we start doing things in practice that will prep me for that, and practicing that in non-championship races. And so we've always had our finger on the pulse of kind of what I need to do in racing to compete well. But then I do think as you age, you do have to adapt even further, of saying, which is one gift of tearing my hamstring, is we had to reanalyze, okay, we can't just do the standard thing that I used to love of, let me run 90-mile weeks over and over and over again. Like, that gave me such a thrill. I truly loved that. But we had to say, all right, my body's not responding to that anymore. It's breaking down. So what can we do now? And that was when the cross training, I was cross training a lot coming back from my hamstring because I couldn't run. And then I started running after biking so much and was feeling great. And so kind of restructuring my miles and my biking and making a formula that my body felt as great as it did in 2019 when I won silver. So you do have to always be open to changing, analyzing, not having an ego about any of it. And we certainly, you know, I just trust Joe so much that whatever he says, I'm like, great, sounds good. And we've adapted and kind of grown a lot in many years, but certainly a lot in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest rabbit hole you've caught Joe like kind of going down when it comes to like the science stuff? Like, is it just like, oh, you're coming down and, you know, someone's making breakfast, but he's just like looking up Norwegian, you know,
100%.
double threshold. Yeah.
No. But I think what's interesting is he finds a lot. He likes to research top athletes in other sports and what they do. So like, I know a lot about freaking speed skaters, and because of Joe, and
like
I know
what?
a lot like this one speed skater, Nils, or Nills, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's this guy who I'm like basically basing a lot of my bike minutes on, is
really?
Because or Wout the cyclist, you know, like he does a lot of aerobic work on his bike. So there's just Joe will go down a rabbit hole and send me an article of a research paper on a Norwegian speed skater and being like, this guy is so interesting. Look at this formula, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so that's what we're doing?
You're like, that's a lot of reading.
I was like, give me the cliff notes.
Yeah.
This means I bike more. Okay, great.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So when you describe sort of like that rush of just sort of like what competition brings you outside of sport, like, you know, when you can't compete, like, is there anything else that kind of, you know, can bring you that? Is it like, I don't know, like,
no, it's so
hard
embarrassing that it's Taylor Swift.
Really?
Like, truly, when my sister and I are always DMing and messaging each other of like, her surprise song was like, when she's at her shows, she has 2 songs a night that are surprise songs, and it's always, we talk about it. Or when she had her new Tortured Poets, I know you guys don't know all this, but
I'm gonna go see her in November. Yeah.
Oh my God. So she added Tortured Poets department to her set list, and when that happened, I was thrilled. I lost it, and it's the same rush. I mean, not the same rush.
Yeah, I gotta say, it can't quite be the same.
But it's when you're competing, you have to play it so chill, so cool for your own salvation. You have to be really grounded and focused and just say, you know, this is just another day. This is just practice. And so when you are free to go wild with emotion, like I do with Taylor Swift, it's not dissimilar to running, because running you kind of play it cool and you have
you
to
don't need to be as grounded when it comes to Taylor Swift.
Right,
you can let
right.
it. You can really let it out.
Yeah, I can let it out. And even as a track fan watching it, it's so close to those same emotions where like I get too nervous watching my teammates and friends compete, so I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then when they do great, you experience a thrill 30 times more than I get with Taylor Swift. But that's probably the most running adjacent thrill that I have in my life.
Are you one of those like super fan Swifties that like can tell apart? I sometimes see the tweets come up on my timeline.
It sounds like yes.
Where it's like, oh, she's wearing this shirt today and it means this.
So yeah, Easter eggs is what people are always. No, I'm not that.
That's a whole
deep.
nother side.
But you know
of the
why?
fandom.
It's because I really don't like when I'm wrong, and so I don't even want to I don't even want to say, oh, she's wearing this shirt, which means this thing, because if I'm wrong, then I disappoint myself, and I'm like, well, I got all excited that this thing was going to happen that I made up, and it didn't happen. So I don't go down that wormhole or that rabbit hole very much, but I certainly see it, and I try to not get too swept up in it.
It's sort of like, I think of how when like you're in high school or college and sort of like you look at the clock to see how many minutes are left in a class, and it's like, oh, there's 15 minutes. Like you think of how much distance you can probably run in that amount of time.
Yeah.
And has your concept of time changed when it comes to like 10 minutes? Like, is it just like all too well 10 minutes is just like a frame of reference that you have? It's like, oh, I only got one all
Eric's
too well
sitting
left.
here like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I never like broke down how much time I had in class with like how much distance I could.
You've
cover.
never done that.
No, I have never done that.
You're like, oh, there's 30 minutes left on this flight. Like I probably could have run like for me 4 miles in that time.
But okay, so I think it's
No,
the
no,
common,
I guess I don't.
Yeah. The common runner thing is we all have our workout venues of like where we do our tempos, where it's like, all right, we do a 4.5 mile loop called the Keturah loop. Or in Crested Butte, we do a loop called Van Tile that's 3 miles. So if I have 4.5 miles left of something or 3 miles, my mind always goes to those places. But now, But so that is what he is saying with Taylor Swift.
Oh,
so
okay.
she has this one
Thank
song.
you for relaying that. Yeah.
So she has this one song called All Too Well that's 10 minutes long.
It's about Jake Gyllenhaal.
So we can listen to it later. But I know every word. I'll just start singing it. No, but so on the bike, I do the breakdown more of like, I have an all too well left, or
I knew it. Yeah. No, that it's brilliant.
Or Smallest Man Who Ever Lived is like just under 5 minutes. So if I have 5 minutes left, I'm like, all right, just the smallest man. And that's how I break it down. But also when you're going for 6 hours, you can't really start doing that too early.
No.
I have 600 all too
I was
well
gonna say,
left.
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So with these cross training sessions and how long they get, like, what do you ahead of time have to plan out? Like, all right, this is the Netflix show I'm going to binge, 4 or 5 episodes of, or is it
It's
like
vibes.
the remote's on? Oh,
it's
vibes.
just vibes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all vibes. And if sometimes I read, sometimes I watch stuff, sometimes I'm just scrolling, listening to music. So you never know what you're going to get, but there's always a lot of snacks. And for 2 days a week, I'm doing a hard workout, but the other days I'm literally just, easy heart rate, easy minutes. So it's not that intense. It's just a lot of time.
I did see it on your Instagram story. What'd you think of, was it A Crown of Thorn and Roses?
Oh, yeah. Who would have thought?
I picked that up at the airport just because I saw a lot of people were reading it.
I wouldn't recommend it
and
to
I
a
didn't
boy.
know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, no, it's so in October
I
we
would
had
recommend it to a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I'm
had
200
or a
pages in.
man. But we had a bunch of girls staying at my house in Crested Butte training, and
I'm 200 pages in, guys.
yeah, sorry. So all the girls were reading it, and they were like, "Emma, you have to read it, And I like reading murder crime books, a little darker, and I didn't. And they're fantasy novels with an edge of romance, and I was like, this is not going to be for me. But then I was on a long bike ride and I saw it on the bookshelf sitting next to me, and I was so bored, and so I was like, all right, let me see this, and I read it in a day. And so it's a lot. I mean, it's like a fantasy book, and then there's some romance
Fairies
scenes
and
Okay.
beasts.
and it's kind of cringy, but also you can't put it down.
Yeah. It was the girls in my running club were all reading it and talking about it. I was like, oh, what's this book about? And then I picked it up at the airport, and I quickly found out oh, that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
I heard the second one's good.
So I just started the second one on the plane here,
Okay.
and it was good. But I was also like, is anyone watching me?
So now here at the trials, what are you looking forward to on the track? Cheering for your teammates.
Yeah.
Any other events?
I mean, I'm really excited to see how this women's 8 pans out. I think. And then at the Olympics, I think the women's 8 and the men's 15 are just so compelling right now that both of those events I'm very much looking forward to as a fan, just watching. And so it'll be, again, interesting to see how this men's 15 turns out. And yeah, of course, I have a lot of emotions towards the women's 15 and the women's steeple. I think... I mean, in general, there's always great stories. There's always people to root for in every event. But I think to the next couple days with the 800, women's 8 and the men's 15, I'm very excited to watch those as a fan.
What do you think of New Balance NIL athlete Quincy Wilson and just how electric he's been? Just sort of, it's so fun to see all the New Balance pros also rallying around this kid.
Well, that's what's fun is New Balance doesn't sponsor that many people, and so when they pick someone to support, that person is one, very, very talented, but also a good person and a good kid. And so he's such an amazing athlete to watch. And it's fun when high schoolers compete at the Olympic trials because I feel like they're so fearless. They're not jaded. They're here to just roll. And they're having fun, and it just reminds you of kind of the purity of this. The amount of high school kids and college kids that are competing is always really cool to see. And I think they always do really well because again, they are just running kind of fearless with nothing holding them back, no expectations. They haven't been burned before. They think, they've never lost a race in their life. So they're just full send. It's cool to watch.
It is also just kind of really rewarding because we've done, multiple years now of just partnering with New Balance around New Balance Nationals that we're seeing these kids grow up before our very eyes. If you remember sort of when we were at New Balance Nationals 2 years ago, it was Roisin Willis and Juliette Whitaker were there. And now they've got a strong chance to make the Olympic team here.
I know, and the same thing for when New Balance was involved with Foot Locker High School Nationals. I feel like I got to know so many eventual stars in the NCAA through that, and it's really cool to see these kids grow up. And when I was in high school, I was not anywhere near this level, and so it's always really impressive that a 16, 17-year-old person can have that much poise at this type of level of meet, have that much confidence and love of running. I find it very, very inspiring and fun to watch.
So it's going to be a little weird, right, when you're just kind of in the stands trying to take in a race?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be able to stay in the seats or
oh my
go out
gosh.
to the...
I don't know. In the past when I've watched, my teammates compete here at previous championships, I mostly watch like this. When Corey made the team for Tokyo, I was at the New Balance house a few blocks away because I was too nervous to be at the stadium.
Wow.
And I went to the New Balance house and just started folding my laundry.
Other people's laundry.
Yeah. Let me just.
You're like, sure.
New Balance pays me as their housekeeper at the house. No. And I was just too nervous to even be near the stadium or watch. And I was pairing socks, and Corey made the team, and I just put everything down and started sprinting over. But I couldn't even be in that track world because it was too nerve-wracking for me. So I have no answer. If you see me in the stadium,
it might be laundry day when the 1500s
It might be laundry day. It
yeah.
might be laundry day. I might have to pair some socks. But if you see me in the stadium and I'm acting like a fool those days, like that's not who I am. It's just like the little weirdo coming out in me. And I might be, just in my own world or, doing something weird. So just don't judge me.
All right, Emma. Well, what's on tap, I guess, like today in terms of training-wise? You had a workout this morning.
I went to South Eugene, Eric's least favorite place, and did some 400s.
Okay.
So that was fun. And then now I'll go back to the hotel and get on the bike for 3 hours. And we'll maybe do a little lift and then just watch track. I don't have a ticket for tonight, so I'm just going to watching the Graduate Hotel Classic venue for me. So I spent way too much time at the Graduate in my life coming here for track meets. But yeah, I'll be there. I got a stationary bike for my hotel room. So
Wow.
yeah, it's quite a setup.
So one other thing too is like I guess we'll try and tap into you and just sort of like your insights throughout the week. So we'll double check with your schedule to see if there's a chance for us to bring you on as an analyst. You've got like the just the breadth of knowledge when it comes to just sort of like being able to jump on the mic. Like I'm surprised NBC didn't come calling, but then at the same time, like you said, like I'm just too nervous.
Well, I told Eric I'm doing the women's steeple prelim.
I'm like, they did come calling.
They did.
Yeah.
So I will be calling the prelim tomorrow night for the women, and fingers crossed I don't do anything stupid. But we'll see. I think maybe I'll be so distracted by like working and trying to not mess it up that watching the race will be easier. Mm-hmm. We'll find out. If I just throw my mic at Keturah and crawl under the table, then we'll know it's not for me.
Yeah. I guess like on the men's side, like it is just kind of really cool when we're talking just general storylines. Evan kind of still being in the mix. Hillary Bohr. This is one question I guess like I was trying to explain 2 days ago when after sort of like that first round, he mentioned in the mix zone that he's had to change the leg that he takes off from when he's jumping over the water pit. Is that all that common? Like, or like, is that a pretty big change for someone to make?
I think it totally depends. I've my whole life, even when I started trying this in high school, just throw whatever leg up and it works.
Really? Okay.
So I've never had a preference, but I'm sure if you're someone who has a strong preference, it's maybe not quite as extreme as Christian Taylor switching legs, I'm sure it's pretty difficult to switch. But I think for a lot of us, the races are so chaotic that if you are stubborn to try and have one leg that you jump off on, then you're going to stutter to try and make that happen. And I'm sure Evan's comfortable on both, but he has one he prefers. And switching, that must have been a little bit of a focus. But I think if you can be somewhat comfortable just throwing any leg up, you'll be at a bigger advantage for these kind of races when it is, at a Diamond League, when it's strung out, you have a little bit more visual time to plan your steps in a way. And here it's just chaos, you know?
Yeah.
All right, Emma. Well, we'll let you go get on that bike so you have enough time to watch the track meet. And thanks for popping by.
Yeah, I'll be back later.
You have your favorite ice cream flavor downstairs,
I know.
too.
Which is that?
I don't know. What did they put down? What did you submit?
Oh!
Like, I don't know. It's on the sheet, right?
Oh, great.
I think it is, yeah.
Well, great. Well, I can't wait.
Yeah.
No, I mean, ice cream's like one of my top 3 favorite foods, so you can't go wrong. So
yeah,
we'll
she
find
was
out.
asking us if, how much we've been indulging.
I still haven't had any.
Yeah, I think I've had it once.
Yeah. I've been too busy on the computer.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, we'll be right back with our next guests, Molly Seidel and Keturah Orji, coming up.
get your ducks all in a row. So take some time.
We are back, CITIUS MAG live in Eugene, Oregon at the 2024 U.S. Olympic Trials. Chris Chavez, Karen Lesiewicz, and Eric Jenkins. And we are joined by our next special guest, Olympic bronze medalist, Molly Seidel. Molly, what's up? What brings you to Eugene?
Just hanging out. Just wanted to be around the energy. No, I'm seeing a physio up here. He's working with a bunch of the athletes.
Molly, I'm not your physio. I'm your friend.
I know we go way back, but no, it's just was coming up here to see a physio and figured get in on the action.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to the most out here?
Honestly, mostly just hanging out with people. I honestly probably won't go in the stadium. I didn't buy
Really?
any tickets.
Yeah.
I've never actually been in Hayward
Really?
Field. Never. Like, okay,
you're
in the new
this
one. In the
close.
new one.
Oh.
Yeah.
The last time I was
Okay.
in that stadium, I think, was running NCAAs.
Wow. And you're like,
And it
I
was a
want to
totally
keep it
different
right
thing.
there.
Well, because even for the Olympic trials last time around, when we were out here for team processing, they were like, "Sorry guys, can't get you any tickets." So like, I have watched everything from my computer.
I want there to
What?
be a pan of like everyone enjoying themselves in the stadium and Molly's
At the
outside.
gates.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could walk right up to the gates and just like someone will let you in.
I'm sure
I don't know.
could.
Remember security yesterday?
What
It
happened?
was out of control. It was nuts.
Oh, man.
And we barely made it in.
Yeah.
With
and we-
tickets.
With tickets and like very clearly spectating. Yeah.
Yeah, there's zero chance I make it in that building.
This is the you're probably the only person who's come this far
Yeah.
and then never gone inside there.
I know. Maybe this is the trip. I'm gonna pop my Hayward cherry.
There we go. What's it been like, I guess, just sort of taking in and seeing, like, you know, the marathon trials took place, the thrill of people making their first Olympic team. Like, what do you remember about what it was like for you? And, like, it's cool to see other people experiencing that.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I feel like that was the whole thing of like, especially watching Fiona win that off of her first marathon. Like, seeing that is so cool because I know exactly how that feels to like go into a race to not know what the distance is going to be. I mean, it's kind of like the worst blind date of your life, but like, I don't know, getting to see her cross that line and like, I mean, she won and it was so fast. I'm just like, she's the real deal.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think it was an incredible, just even spread up top. It was kind of unpredictable. How does one celebrate that? I mean, how does Molly Seidel celebrate something like that?
How do I celebrate not running in the Olympic trial?
Yeah, that's what. How did you celebrate
How did-
Fiona's victory?
How did I celebrate her victory? I feel
Yeah.
like it was really cool because not only it was like Fiona and Dakota, and like
Yeah.
Dakota was someone who like I think all of us at Puma knew how incredible of a talent she was, and
Yeah.
like that, like she was ready to absolutely pop one off. But I think not a lot of people had her on their on their predictions.
Not on
And
my
so
bingo card. Yeah.
It was really cool getting because I wasn't watching the race live, but I was getting like the live updates on my phone and seeing them move through, and then getting texts from people about what
Yeah.
was happening. I was like, oh my god, this is incredible.
Which my favorite memory, I'm going to say, of the 2020 trials, because I was down there in Atlanta, out sporting. On the map, it was, I'm going to say it, everyone had a photo except you, and it was a little silhouette, and I was like, oh my God, like, what's
On the
going
tracker?
on? Yeah, on
that
the
wasn't
tracker.
a big enough name at the time to like deserve a face on the tracker. Come on.
It was brutal. But
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You talked about just sort of like how Puma knew that Dakota was gonna pop one off. Like, among you guys, like the Puma team, like in general, like is there? I've seen the photos of when people go to the lab and like you guys are getting tested and stuff like that by, you know, what shoe works best for you. You know, what is that kind of like, I guess, among the marathoners? Like, are all three of you racing in the same thing? Is it to each their own, just sort of like the different, everyone's different, it seems like.
It
Yeah.
honestly does depend. So what's nice is Puma has two separate super shoes, and the testing that we do is actually to kind of confirm which shoe that you are more efficient in. So I'm far more efficient in the Deviate, whereas like some people are much faster in the Fast R, which has that kind of like two-part midsole. It really just depends on how you put force into the ground. So I really appreciate getting to like I don't know, just be able to have a metric for knowing, like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm probably going to run faster in this shoe.
What if each foot had a different, faster shoe that you
Oh my
needed?
God, that would be so awkward.
Oh my
Actually,
God.
maybe that would be better for branding.
Right, there you
It's
go.
like,
You'd,
oh,
sell, you'd sell more shoes.
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of like an F1 car, I switch them out midway through the race.
Yeah.
I just trade.
All right, come on, strip it out. You're like, whoa, my shoes, not my outfit.
Yeah.
Doing the full change. But that's incredible. Well, I know you're kind of into shoes, right? Like, you know, this girl in college, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to mention it a lot. You know,
You two went to college together.
I
yeah.
like to say we
And
raced
yeah,
together.
I was about to say, like, you're kind of into shoes, girl. You have seen how many running shoes I keep on me at any
Oh yeah,
one
and we were
point.
the same size, and some of those went missing, Molly.
Yeah, exactly. No.
But you, I like to say we raced together. Let's just say I was in the same race as Molly, usually, just being her teammate. But yeah, you've always been into shoes. You've always been, I think, into the technology. And I'm not kidding, guys. She would cut open shoes and dissect
Really?
them.
Yeah.
Yes, she would. They would
Yeah.
be.
A
I would be like,
shoe surgeon.
Yeah, I don't know. I really am interested in the biomechanics side of it, and I think like it's been so cool watching this transition into super shoes because it really is kind of this next frontier of it. But I guess that's what I appreciate, getting to like get to be a part of the shoe development process. Like I'll go out to Germany every so often and meet with the development team there. But I don't know, I think it's an exciting time. Like super shoes are kind of wild and they make such a difference now. So for a shoe nerd, it's heaven.
So, I mean, being the shoe nerd and dissecting the shoes like that, are you giving a lot of feedback and saying how the shoe can improve, what you'd like to see to the company?
Yeah, so it's really nice because they very much respect that I'm an incredibly picky bitch when it comes to shoes, and I like because I'll give very, very detailed feedback. I think it's been really cool getting to work with them because there is a certain language that you have to use when you talk about shoes.
German.
Yes, exactly.
she's been studying up.
Unfortunately, that's one that I can't do quite yet. I can order a coffee in German, and that's about it. But no, I think just being able to, have a dialogue with the developers and being able to give really specific feedback on them is very, very valuable.
Yeah, what is the key component of a shoe you look for? Is it the responsiveness? Like what fits Molly Seidle's foot the best?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like especially with the marathon, when I raced on the track, I feel like I was very focused on how responsive the shoe was, how you're feeling. Is it kind of just like, are you able to bounce off really well? In the marathon, I pay a lot more attention to the actual fit, especially in the upper, because when you're running 26 miles, there's a lot of time for a lot of things to go wrong. Something that in a mile race, if your feet are bleeding by the end, it's fine. It's like you're off the track in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But if in a marathon, you're going to have to deal with a bad fit on a shoe for a long time, and it can completely derail a race. So I think I've shifted almost that I used to really focus on kind of like the feel of the midsole on the shoe, and now I'm really hyper-focused on the upper.
All week, we've been right here at this corner giving away T-shirts and hats to people. We're giving away a ticket to you to the meet. Apparently, someone in the
Wait,
YouTube
really?
chat said,
Wait, Molly, what else can you get? What else can you get?
Wait, oh my gosh, can I get a car? I've never driven a car before.
someone in the YouTube chat was like, Molly can have my ticket. I won't be using it.
That is incredible. This is going to be my first trip to Hayward. Wait, can we do like a photo series of me like with the hat of like Molly's first trip to Hayward?
You're just decked out in all of the merch inside.
Yeah, I get like a t-shirt.
A foam finger.
Yeah, but honestly, you might have a better chance as an Olympian of ringing the bell for like one of the races.
Oh, that would be so cool.
That's Mac's dream. It's like as a two-time NCAA champion, he an alum from this university, never gotten the chance to ring the bell.
To
at a
ring the
race.
bell lap.
We don't really talk anymore.
They don't really talk anymore.
It's kind of a sore subject.
So you're gonna get to go to the meet.
I am so excited.
The
Wow,
guy-
chat came through huge.
The chat.
Wow.
The guy in the chat says I'm only a 5-minute walk away, so he might
my
be
God,
popping
wow.
by.
Bring him on up.
Bring him onto the show.
to
He'll see it
hand
from
the
a
ticket.
mile away. Do the people watching this know how physically raised up this tent is?
Yeah, I don't know
No.
if they have that because you can see the backdrop, but if we were to flip this, Hayward is literally a stone's throw away, and we're elevated.
I
right
mean,
now.
we're a solid. What would you say? 15
We're
feet off the
15 feet
ground.
out, yeah.
Yeah. You get to like lord over everybody, like
Right.
look down upon them like a Roman emperor.
I feel like
Right.
the Pope every morning.
Yeah. Can we drive?
He's been
you
making
here?
us call him that.
In
And
the
Yeah.
Pope-mobile?
it's been a lot.
The new Pope.
Pope Christian.
Yeah.
Except I'm just like making graphics on my laptop instead of like waving at the
Yeah, it's a
people.
lot different than
Yeah.
the actual Pope.
Right, but he does wear the
My
hat.
mom's gonna be watching this. She'll be like, Molly, that is so sacrilegious.
Oh man, that's great. But yeah, I was gonna say, I hope you are gonna get a ticket. You're gonna come in. I just hope it's next to Snoop Dogg. I don't know if you've heard.
Oh my God! I heard he was bringing in 10 pounds of weed too.
Yeah.
And giving it
That
away.
was Craig Engels'
No,
comment on
that's
our
what's
Instagram.
in Noah. That's what's in
Noah's briefcase.
Noah's
Noah's
briefcase.
briefcase, yeah.
His Snoop's weed.
All right, this is when
I'm
right-
just creating unhinged rumors now.
well, I said that before.
I heard Snoop Dogg is bringing in enough weed for everybody in the stadium. It's Oregon. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I said that before we started rolling. I was like, at some point, this interview is gonna go off the rails.
Off the rails.
And here we are.
Your blood pressure just went up by like 5 degrees.
I heard last night you were like just planning on just how to stress me out.
Oh,
during
yeah.
This interview.
Oh yeah, we were like, what would stress Chris out? And we thought of these insane scenarios. We're like, you know, what if you came on with this? What if you came on with that? And what we landed on was what would really stress Chris out is just simply if I got the stats wrong.
Every stat about me wrong.
If I was like, gold medalist Molly Seidel, come on down.
My idea was I was gonna drink like probably close to a gallon of milk before coming on, and then just vomit everywhere.
That was
would be-
second. That
that
was
would
the
be a
That was
good
the
move.
second tier. Yeah.
wrong stats or
You know that would go
milk.
just absolutely viral. Like,
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
I just saw.
Chris, if I can't be fast running, I might as well be popular on the internet.
You might as well be fast projectile vomiting.
I have to stay relevant.
One of the things is that I found so interesting is we were standing down there yesterday, and I said to you, I was like, this must be like a change of pace for you compared to like marathon and just road race weekends where it's like you can't walk a step without like being stopped.
Yeah.
Track world's a little different.
No, it's honestly really nice to be able to come out to these when it's like track is such a different world that it's like marathoners are so hyper focused, and kind of like you said, if I go to the Boston Marathon, I really can't go many places because a lot of people will recognize me. But something like track, I get to just be any other track fan out here.
Yeah.
I'll get noticed every once in a while, but
Right.
like for the most part, people are here to watch Sha'Carri.
Yeah, it's
I'm
tough
like,
to drink it's tough to drink a gallon of milk and throw it up at the Boston Marathon just like casually.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm at the point. I'm ready to be unhinged.
Oh my God, you got to do it. You know, I think, for me, yeah, that unhingedness is what sets you apart. I think you bring a person.
Molly, of all the marathoners, you are definitely the craziest.
Yeah, look, I've seen some things, and what you know is not even half of it. But you bring such a personality to the sport. I love that. I mean, I was telling, Sam, Max's wife, the other day, like I think you're a textbook like dream to brands because your marketing. I just think you're so marketable. You're so funny. You have the Sad Girl Track Club with your sister Izzy. Just being on Instagram for you. Where does that come from? Where's the creativity come from? Where's that driven from?
I don't know. I feel like it's just something like I always have had kind of like a dry, slightly darker sense of humor. I
True.
really like. I don't know. I think it's the Midwesterner in me, liking to laugh at myself a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think Instagram for me is a platform where I get to feel like I can kind of do my more natural sense of humor on there. So I don't know. I feel like the person that you guys get is me. I try not to put on any sort of persona. If I do, please give me shit about it. But
I know when you've, as a professional runner who sometimes has to make like the sponsored post like on your
we were
grand.
just talking about this last night.
I
Yeah.
don't know what you guys were talking about,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah, I'm
curious.
trying to ask
what
professional
were
questions.
some
You should see.
because you get creative sometimes,
Yeah.
and like I'm sure in the meetings with these brands, you push
Oh.
back on like, hey, I'd like to do this, and they're like, Molly, that's a bit much. What are some rejected Molly Seidel Instagram ads that you've pitched in the past?
What's the blooper
man,
reel?
You're gonna get some good ones. I wanted to do. Imagine this: I'm in an IKEA. It's all black and white.
Who's the sponsor?
Huh?
What can we say? Or no?
You'll figure it
Okay.
out. So black and white. I'm in an IKEA. I'm going through. I'm exhausted. I'm falling over the Hemnes dresser, completely bonking. Reach down, grab a Morton, rip that thing, ready to go. IKEA Morton sponsorship collab. That one got rejected.
Wow. Oh my
Did you
gosh.
pitch that to IKEA? Is that
No, I pitched that to the Morton guys, and they're like, ha ha ha, no.
But IKEA was like,
Anytime I'm hanging, I love getting to hang out with the Morton crew. We did some stuff right around the Boston Marathon, and they are so Swedish. I love them. But
Yeah. No, I like that team too. Like I've been in touch. I think they're going to be at the Paris Olympics. There might be some plans.
I'm
They're-
going out to do some stuff for them.
Yeah, I think they're reaching out, so we might
Paris?
be doing more stuff together.
Amazing.
Maybe we'll see.
I can't wait for your blood pressure to be even higher.
Especially at the Olympics. Did you see Karen's reel where she's like covered in KT tape? Like,
Yes.
well, that's
That-
because I showed it to her last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
so
I
that
said,
video
yeah.
has like over 2 million views. Or
I think
something
that's
like
got
that.
more views than I've ever gotten on a thing.
You know, look, I don't want to say I want to do a collab with Molly KT Tape, but I want to do a collab with
Honestly,
Molly
I'm
KT
down. But I feel like it's that it's like, I feel like sponsored posts are just a given. That's what
Yeah.
anybody who thinks otherwise is like, that's what pro running is now. We're trying to sell you stuff. But I think I don't know, being able to go and like show the products that I'm actually using. Yeah, I'm selling you stuff, but I am actually using the stuff too. I wouldn't be selling it to you if I wasn't. And at the same time, I think giving people a reason to like find it funny, find it exciting, make it more than just, hi, I'm Molly here with my KT tape. It's like people want funny things on Instagram. So, I mean, just go for it.
Right.
Have you been a fan of the new podcast Getting Chicked on the CITIUS MAG podcast
I've
network?
been loving that. It's like 3 of my favorite people on there. It was like all of my worlds
had to plug it.
colliding. Well, because between Karen and Rachel, I'm like, I've got my ND connection. And then Meg was my first roommate when I moved to Boston. So it's like, I love all of it.
That like the whole premise of that show is like, well, we talk about this all the time. Is just put the headphones on while you're on a run and like make it feel like you're running with friends. And
Well,
I think
this
it
is-
accomplishes that.
You know how that creepy thing where like you'll say something out loud and then it'll come up on your Instagram?
Yeah.
I was like thinking that when that first came up, I was like, is CITIUS MAG just trying to make podcasts for me of putting all of my friends on the same podcast?
Yeah. Target demographic
Well, it
accomplished.
saves it because then I can just hear about how they're all doing instead of actually calling them.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that was the whole premise of it. I mean, I think we yeah, right. Just, hey, still call me.
glad
Yeah.
Still
You
call
know,
me.
You're drafting up a text and then you just delete it because you're listening to the
Yeah, I'm like, oh, don't worry, I heard.
Yeah, but to really, it did reminisce, I think, how we have long runs. And we see that a lot with a lot of male-driven podcasts. It's a lot of banter. It's a lot of, not just necessarily talking trash, but just talking and, shooting it with each other. And we just noticed, and I think, to Chris's credit, it was like, hey, we're seeing that a lot with women-led podcasts. It's a lot of interviewing, and that has a space, and people are doing that amazing. We're not seeing that banter. And that's such a formative experience for me, was being on a long run, in South Bend, which, is a long, long run through the streets of South Bend.
Yeah.
But shooting, the shit with each other, that's what bonded us together.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's exactly it. Is kind of just like you said. I think we're seeing it.
Can we cut a reel for it? So look into that camera and like tell people why they should be listening to the Getting Chick podcast.
Why you should be listening to the Getting Chick podcast. Karen Lesiewicz is the funniest person I have ever met. Do you want to laugh every goddamn day? Listen to this podcast.
Brilliant. All right, we'll cut that, Mac, and we're gonna put it up on the Getting Chicked Instagram ASAP.
Let's cut that and make a reel just out of that. Karen's gonna like watch that at bed, like at night.
Oh,
Karen
yeah.
Lesiewicz is the funniest person I know.
with you next to me in my bed tonight, I'm just going to be watching it. You're like, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah.
Like, turn it off. I'm trying to sleep.
All right, so we said that you've never been to Hayward Field. So a fan in the chat said that they have a ticket for you. Well, we've got to welcome Derek Roseman. The fan is here in attendance with
Wait,
the ticket right there.
Oh my God!
He's got a ticket for you. We'll
That is incredible.
We'll initiate the transfer.
I love this. This is the magic of Hayward Field, people.
This is what they talk about. Hayward
yeah.
Magic is
This
not
is
having a ticket.
This is an Olympic moment right here. Not the real Olympics. Are we allowed to say Olympics? Is that still a rule that you can't say
you
it?
could say it as many times as
shoot,
you want.
I've broken
Because
the rule
that was a legitimate rule that we like couldn't say the word Olympics in ads leading into the Olympics.
What was your workaround?
I feel like you just
big
say like
game.
the big game. I'm so excited for the big game.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, so we were also thinking, and this is probably something we're going to start in the next couple of weeks, is we're going to start referring it to work around it, the big meet in France.
the big meet in France. I love that.
Yeah, so everything's going to be about the big
Olympics.
meet in France. All right.
Wow.
welcome.
Yeah, you want me
Share
to-
your mic with him for a
Yeah,
sec.
here, bring him in. Come on
This
in.
is incredible.
All right, this is
We're
this is
making dreams
magical.
happen live.
That
Yeah.
Derek
Come on,
was tuned
scooch
in
here.
watching.
Get him an ollie pop.
Yeah.
Just perfect timing that I turned on the chat, and just as Molly started talking about having been in Hayward, I'm flying back to Jersey today. So
Really?
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't use my ticket. So instead of eating it or just throwing it up on StubHub,
Yeah.
if we can figure out a way to get it off my phone and onto yours, we're in.
Absolutely.
This is amazing. I love this. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
This
Cool.
is
How-
Hayward magic.
How does this work though? I feel like I'm weirdly bad with like the
Oh, I think
phone
it's just
technology.
like Ticketmaster
Well,
transfer
I think we
thing,
have to,
right?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm sure someone can help
But
us
we will
figure
have
it
to
out.
get
We
you a
have-
fake ID. Is that
there
okay?
are-
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, I don't think
Oh,
anyone's
it's
getting
perfect.
arrested.
I
You
feel
might
like
get
we look
arrested.
similar
Figure
enough.
it.
Yeah, like we could pass.
Well, you did cut your hair recently. I think
did.
you might just need to go a little shorter.
Yeah.
You need a little gray though. That's a problem.
I'll let my beard grow out like
there we
one
go.
more day.
I'll really stress you out on the way there, and I think we'll make it.
Well, Derek, thank you for offering up your ticket. I'm sure we'll have you get a photo with Molly as well at the minimum.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, this is great.
This is amazing. Thanks.
Molly,
Yeah.
you're
Very
going
welcome.
to the meet. You're going to
I'm
Hayward.
going to Hayward. I made it to Hayward.
You're at the you're at about 250 meters in the front row.
Okay.
Wow.
Section in section 132.
Okay, we need to put this up on like
Yeah,
take
yeah.
photos.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Oh my gosh, this is
Awesome. Thank you so much, Derek, for popping by.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right, maybe
Yeah.
Matt can help you like figure out how to transfer his
Yeah,
ticket.
here, wait, you got to take an lollipop. This
Yeah.
is for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best flavor.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's a natural ad right there.
Yeah, this is brilliant. All right, Molly. So you're officially going to Hayward. You got to go get changed and like put on some Hayward
I've
attire.
got to get like a duck hat. What do people?
No.
What do people even wear to attract me? No. Can I one of those hats with like the umbrella over the top? I feel
Yeah.
like that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some hot takes from you on like how these races are gonna.
We
play
need
out.
more.
We need more.
Okay.
Women's 5K. The first round we see Ellie St. Pierre just throw down.
Yeah.
Is she the favorite? Like who are you picking on this team?
I feel like Ellie coming off of the season that she had for indoors.
You see some of this in Flagstaff, don't
Oh,
you?
I see her all the time. It's absolutely nuts. Like anybody who watches El Pereira on the track, it is almost more impressive to watch her work out because she is so like that girl is such a gamer. I feel like she is so locked in all the time. It doesn't matter if it's a workout, a long run, just like she gets it done. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she is just having such a great year, and I honestly, this is gonna sound cocky in her favor, but like the Olympic trials for her, she knows she can do this. Like her focus is a medal, like a medal in Paris. I think this is just a step along the way for her.
Right. Well, we were saying that, just talking about tapering. There's people that are, not hoping to make it to the top three. They're hoping they know they're in contention to make it to Paris as the favorite. For someone like you, I'm just curious, when you're training, are you tapering for the trials or are you tapering, are you tapering twice? Like, what's the buildup? Are you taking a gamble and just hoping that you don't have to taper and you're going to make it?
No, I don't run 130 miles a week going into a marathon, babe. Like, but
She
no.
called me babe.
No, we do a full taper. So for something like the trials for the marathon is so different because you do two full separate builds. Like you can't do what you do in track of basically carrying that fitness through. You have to kind of start from scratch. And so say if I had made it to the line at trials, it would have been from 2 weeks out, you're starting a moderate taper. I'm still running 90 to 100 miles a week, the week of a marathon, but that's kind of my base
some light
mileage.
work.
But we're cutting that. I mean, I'm cutting 30 to 40 miles off my
Right.
weekly mileage at that point, focusing a little bit more on speed. But it's just about getting your body ready. But it's totally different from what I used to do in track of like, you don't really have much of a taper period unless you're coming up to what you know is your final race of the season.
Sweet. Well, Molly, we appreciate you stopping by. Now you get to go to the meet tonight. I'm sure we could find a way to like sneak you in to sit with the CITIUS MAG crew.
Amazing.
Well,
And
she's
just take
courtside. I mean, she doesn't want to sit with us.
She feels like she doesn't know us.
That's right.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, suck it, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm right up front. No, that would be
Yeah.
fun.
It's-
I need to get a full tour of the stadium.
It's so funny to just like you're going by yourself. Like
I
as
know,
right now,
that's- I'm
you're
like,
in a
what if
single
you're
seat. Like, what if you're just like in a section by yourself and there's no one else around?
You were like, I kind of had other plans today, and now I'm like forced to go to the meet.
No, it's perfect because I feel like I'm leaning into my destiny as like the Bill Murray of running, where people just find me in like random locations. And they're like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
So I would love that if people look over in just their random like front row seats at Hayward and be like, "Why is Molly Seidel sitting alone, not talking to anybody in the front row of the Olympic trials?"
There we go. Well, Molly, I appreciate you stopping by, and I'm sure we're gonna be hanging out right before the meet and all that stuff. But
Oh no, I'm not going to see any of you guys.
all right, we'll be right back with our next guest. Keturah Orji is in the house, fresh off of qualifying for a 3rd Olympic Games. We'll be back shortly.
Seems like you've been wasting time trying to find your place in life. You need to get your ducks all in a row. So take some time to understand that life is a race. Ooh, for each and every man. Sometimes people will treat you like worn-out shoes, but they don't know that you can lose. Come and be a winner. Be a winner now. Now you're a winner. Oh, baby. Oh, come and be a winner.
CITIUS MAG Live, back with another amazing guest. I was just trying to get your accolades acclimated beforehand because you've done so much.
We need to make her read them off. Open your phone right
I
now.
mean, so Keturah, you got to tell us your accolades.
Okay.
What do you got? What do you got?
Read them off. So first of all, 2-time Olympic finalist, the only American triple jumper to do that.
Only
female. 2-time World Championship finalist. 8-time NCAA champion, won in the long jump. People forget about that. Won in the long jump.
Listen.
American record holder.
Yes.
Bowerman Award winner. 10-time U.S. champion.
10 times? What?
10 times.
What?
And I'm 28. I'm
There
only
we
28,
go.
guys.
So
I've only
young.
been pro for 5 years.
And you didn't. This is why people need to stop playing, because they be like, the jumps ain't this and the field events ain't that. I'm like, who you know is a 10-time American champion and got the American record in every other event under the sun? Like, please come on.
Yes. Well, Keturah, you're coming off just the triple jump final yesterday. You're going to your 3rd Olympic Games, right? First American triple jumper to do so, just adding to the accolades. How was the final for you yesterday?
Yes, the final went really well. I feel like I competed well. I had a 5th attempt in there that I feel like would have won it all, but hopefully I can catch that one in Paris.
There you go.
That's gonna be the attempt that get her on that podium. It's coming.
that.
It's just one more thing you gotta add to your list before you leave us.
Yes.
But if y'all don't remember, Anderson did talk to her and she did let us know why she was leaving. Would you like to explain to the fans why you are retiring and how this is, a fulfilling journey for you?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many reasons, but definitely like my mind and my body are telling me it's time to put it away, and I want to honor what I'm hearing. And definitely my husband and I have been doing a distance marriage, and so I miss him a lot. He's been so supportive of me while I've been traveling all around the country trying to find the coach for me, and so I appreciate that. But it's been a long journey, and I'm just ready to cap off my career.
What do you want the next stages of your life to look like? Like what other things are you interested in that you're kind of ready to kind of just dive into?
Yeah, I'm really interested in financial planning. So I have a part-time job at a company, and hopefully I can start doing full-time there. I really enjoy doing that. Also, I help with the youth ministry at church. So I love the youth ministry in Atlanta at home. So I'm excited to kind of help out with that. And I really just enjoy investing in young people. So I'm really excited to get involved with that. And I would love to stay involved with track at all. So if there's any opportunities that are not triple jumping,
oh dang it,
then I would love to be a part of something.
I'm glad that you said that, because we were talking to Britney Reese yesterday, and we were just talking about with how amazing you are and how amazing that she is in you guys' respective events. It's glad that you guys are trying to get back into the track community in different ways, because the knowledge and the experience that you guys have, you could definitely use that and build up more Keturahs and stuff like that, because I think we've got a lot of strong women in the long jump and the triple jump, but we've known, Britney and you are just two very different individuals in comparison to everyone else. And so it would be great to, just take the young group that we have that has so much potential in the jumps, and then using you guys to kind of just propel them forward. I think that would be so amazing.
I agree, and it's so comforting too, because Britney is someone that I've trained with, someone that I've looked up to, and so seeing that now she's involved with it, it's a place of comfort versus someone else that may know the sport but you've never met them before.
Right.
What are some of those things that you've learned from Britney or others who kind of came before you that you've taken into your career, even as short as your career has been, but as successful as it's been?
Yeah, I feel like from Britney, definitely I've learned to be calm. I feel like she was able to respond to competition in a calm, cool, collected manner. I've also just learned to be yourself. I feel like she's very authentic and true to herself, and she doesn't change who she is for the crowd or for whatever it is that sponsors want. She remains true to who she is, and I really love that.
There you go. And I am curious, because I feel like you're almost like a quiet killer, where you're really, really laid back. You're super quiet, but you go out there and you absolutely dominate. I mean, is that just your personality? You're go out there and go crazy when it's time to go crazy?
Yeah, I think silent killer is a good name for me, just because I'm not very emotional. So I think people think I don't care or I'm not interested, but that's not true at all. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't care about it. So yeah, I think silent killer is perfect for me, and I just put so much energy and effort into this. I've really been pursuing greatness, and so when I get out there and I don't do what I want to do, it's clear, you can see it on my face. I'm not happy. So yeah, I try to be grateful and take everything in, but at the same time, I always want more, and I know what I'm capable of. I think that's what kind of keeps me in that kind of silent space.
There you go. And I am curious, talking about when things don't go right, because during World Indoors, I think you got 4th place again.
Yes.
Indoors, right?
Yes.
But I feel like it was a little bit different in terms of your personality right after the competition, where you maybe weren't as disappointed as maybe in previous years. But I could be completely off. Just like, how have you kind of grown a little bit in that?
I was still disappointed, but I would say that I had competed better than I had in recent competitions. So I think that's kind of where it was like a perspective type of thing. But definitely still disappointed. And it wasn't so much about the fourth place. It was just the distance. I kind of compete against myself where it's like, I know I can jump a certain distance. Wherever that finishes me is where it finishes me. I'm not there for a place finish. I'm there to be the best KO. And so sometimes I feel like the best KO didn't show up on the day.
Got you. Yeah, well, I mean, do we want to dive in a little bit about the triple jump, and then I want to get to some of this this sports talk. But all right, before we go in, I want to ask about just the triple jump in general, because we were kind of talking about there's a young generation. There's never been an opportunity where it's like 3 women going to the Olympic Games, right? Like, this is a special kind of time. What has been the secret to having such consistency amongst American triple jumpers over the past couple of years?
I guess I would say we're figuring out the event technically. So in the past, I think we focused on like speed and power. So we'll get really strong, we'll get really fast. But in triple jump, you can be really strong and really fast and not jump far. And so really focusing on the technique and executing what it is that you need to within the phases, I think has helped American triple jumpers to succeed a lot more.
So, speaking on like the same topic, obviously like you guys are the big 3. You, Tori, and Jasmine are the women who have just absolutely been dominating women's American triple jump for like the past, handful of years, right? And so as you are, leaving out of that big 3, somebody who's looking to take your spot, like what's some inspiration or some thoughts that you can give them to be like, okay, Keturah is gone, but now it's my turn. Like, how can they get themselves to be in that top 3 as well?
I would say probably the most important thing is you have to find a coach that knows the triple jump. Like, triple jump is not an event where you can just work with anybody and be successful. And I even had to learn that too, because I was like, I can triple jump, like I'll go wherever. And I've seen the ups and downs with the different coaches, and so it's really, really important that you find a coach that you can collaborate with, that you trust, and that knows the event.
So what you're saying is that anybody who wants to be good at triple jump needs to come hang with you. Awesome. Her phone number is.
Is there a way you would describe? So I was talking to Jasmine after the competition yesterday, and she was saying it's like skipping rocks. Like, triple jump is so graceful. It's challenging, but it's like skipping rocks.
That's a nice analogy.
That's pretty cool. I don't know if there's a way that you would describe triple jump to someone who's just like, I don't even understand this. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. If I could add anything, I would just say like it's a flow. Like, it's a rhythm. It's a rhythm event. It's not so much like I'm gonna power down this runway and like hit the ground hard.
Is that what you'd be saying in your head? Exactly in that voice.
Let's go. It's definitely like a rhythmic flow type of event, almost like dancing. And so I think sometimes people like watch us jump and they're like, oh, it looks so easy, and like it looks easy because we're doing it well, but it's actually not easy at all.
There you go. Humble brag. We're doing it well, right? So I don't know if you want to.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it's such a beautiful event. Like, I remember one of my old summer coaches, he was just like, one of my favorite pastimes is just to watch like slow down videos of like triple jump phases. He's like, it's my guilty pleasure. I'll just continue to scroll through videos on videos of just athletes just doing it in slow motion. And honestly, it is a very beautiful event. I think, we can be stuck on like the running events and be like, oh my God, like so-and-so's forms looks like so great. But with what you guys like have to do and with how difficult that it is, it's like there's almost little room for error. So like when it does look beautiful and when it does look perfect, it's hard to look away from it.
I agree for sure. And there's a lot of force that goes onto one of our legs when we're doing these phases too. It's not easy.
Yeah. So I want to ask, there was a track league, a new track league that came out. Michael Johnson announced the Grand Slam. Curious on your thoughts. I know you're retiring, so you won't get a chance to, experience that in 2025. But of course, there's no triple jump. There's no field events. What are your thoughts on the triple jump or the field events in general being excluded from that league or anything else, right?
Yeah, I think it's sad, but I'm also not surprised. Being a triple jumper in this sport, I've realized so many times the sport does not care about us. I don't know if you guys remember, but the Diamond League did try to remove.
Yep. I remember that so vividly.
Shout out to Christian Taylor. I feel like he fought.
Yes,
he did. But yeah, the Diamond League tried to remove the women's triple jump. They tried to remove a bunch of field events, and I think from the first time I went pro, I realized how much we're not appreciated in the sport. And so I'm not surprised at all. I think it's a great opportunity for the sprinters. I think the sprinters have a lot of great opportunities already, so that's good for them. But yeah, I think a lot of great talent is left out of the sport because we can't maintain them because they're not getting paid or they can't find what they need within the sport. So I think there's a lot of like women's triple jump struggles, but it's like we don't get any support. So like where are we gonna get these new triple jumpers to come up
Yeah.
and keep uplifting that event?
It's such an interesting concept because, like, all I do is stay on Twitter. So I've been on Twitter a little too much, but I just like, watching people's like responses and stuff to the league and like, especially from field eventers and stuff. And, the biggest comment that like, I guess sprinters or, people who are like going to benefit from the league are saying is like, well, you guys just need to like suck it up or earn it or like do it yourself. But then I think it's really, important to talk about how it's difficult to do that when like all the eyes and money are already in one place. And so how can you expect us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps when we don't even got the boots to do so? And it's like, we'll just go find the boots, but like all the boots are sold out. Y'all done took them all, so all we got is our toes. We can't even wash them because we don't got the money for clean water. Like it's a whole like just a lot of like stuff going on. But in a perfect world, assuming that somebody like you or Britney or another field eventer like did have $12.6 million and did have the bandwidth and the team and the opportunity to take on something like that for the field events, like what would that look like for you, or like how do you think you could turn something like that interesting for field eventers?
Ooh, that's a hard question. So I think one thing that'd be really cool is having the fans up very close to like the pit. So like if it could be like just the runway and the fans right along it, I think that'd be super cool to be up close. I think because some people talk about like the field events take too long, we could reduce it to 3 attempts if that's needed. I don't think people would hate that, especially if the prize money is great. And then I guess like just adding like music and like making sure the fans are really informed and can interact with like clapping and things like that. Like they understand the event. And even comparing like, Keturah jumped 48 feet 11 inches. What does that look like? Like how far
what does that mean?
That?
Yeah, Britney had talked about that too, where she was like, well, she's jumped in like airports and like all these other crazy places, and she felt like one of the most important things or best things is like explaining to people like what this means. Like if Keturah is jumping like 48 feet, like what is that in comparison to something that people can actually like conceptualize? Like, Keturah jumped like 4 like white sedans like up the street like that. Like that's sick. Like people would need to like know that and understand that.
Yeah. And it was crazy when you were saying between now and Paris, you only have potentially Monaco, I think, right? Maybe one competition. I just found it crazy that there was basically no competitions for triple jumpers despite everything else for sprinters, for distance athletes, right? There's just not those opportunities for y'all to be able to get out there to even showcase yourselves. So
yeah, especially in the U.S., it's hard to get a field full of women's triple jumpers. So a lot of times if they do have an event, it's going to be like 4 or 5 of us. So it's hard.
And then it's a little difficult too because when you think about like the ranking system and all those points, it's like, okay, even if I can get into like a high school meet or something like just to get like some marks in, it's like, well, it's not going to count or like nobody's going to care or World Athletics isn't going to use it because I wasn't able to do it at a competition that like they regulated or something. So I definitely feel for you guys. And I'm hoping that you can garner up, like $12 million one day and just, fix this around for you guys. Because I feel like there are a lot of interesting stories. And like to that point, besides yourself or like any of the women's triple jumpers, like thinking of other field events, what is like the most interesting story or athlete that you like paying attention to in the field events?
Ooh, that's hard on the spot. Let me think. I guess I'll go with Tiffany Flynn in the long jump.
Yeah.
I trained with her when I was in Atlanta. And when you look at, so she was actually she did long jump and triple jump in college. But she decided to go with long jump because she was doing a lot better in it. And when you look at the progression she's had and being able to make teams now, I think it's a really cool story. She's very much into like beauty, so she can. I think she does like her own like makeup, and she does other people's makeup. She learned how to do her own nails. So to me, there's a story in everyone. Like you just have to sit down and talk to them. Everyone has a story. Like you didn't get here by magic. Like
are you sure? I actually have a teleportation machine across the street right now.
Yeah, like if you ask me about their families, their background, like you're gonna find out about them, and there's gonna be a story somewhere in there.
It's so interesting. I was telling Anderson, I'm like, y'all think marketing is like hard, but like really it's like forcing, like all you gotta do is like force something down somebody's throat and like they're gonna like listen to it, like they're gonna know. No, because look, this is what I was telling him off camera. I was like, let me tell you something. So all I do is watch the SpongeBob marathon. Like every single day, like I am on YouTube TV watching like 5+ hours of SpongeBob every single day. But it's to the point to where now like Nickelodeon plays like the 5 same commercials like every day. That like I know the stuff that I don't want to know. Like why do I know that the Loud House movie is coming out on like June 21st? Why do I know like the stupid music? So like that's not my thing. But it's like y'all done force it down my throat so much. Now I got no choice but to like learn it and like entertain it or whatever the case is. So I
Yeah.
think we can do that for the field events.
Yeah. So before we close out, what is it that you're looking forward to? You're done with your competition. You got Paris, but for the rest of the trials, anything you're looking out for?
I think I'm just excited to see the rest of the events and who makes the team. This will be my first Olympic team without Kendall Williams, who's always been my roommate. And so just looking to see who makes the team and like who I'll be able to connect with once I'm in Paris.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, so excited. Again, 3rd time Olympian, going to Paris, never been done before, foreign American triple jumper. And I mean, we going to be biased. You coming home with a medal.
That's what I mean.
at this point.
I've been getting in trouble for my takes lately, but if I'm gonna say this, Keturah is going to get herself a medal.
There we
so.
go.
I
There we go.
appreciate y'all.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Keturah. And yeah, we'll be switching over. Trey Hardee is going to be joining us. And yeah, let's get out of here. Thanks, y'all.
All right, see ya.
Seems like you've been wasting time trying to find your place in life. You need to get your ducks all in a row. So take some time. Seems like you've been wasting time trying to find your place in life. You need to get your ducks all in a row. So take some time to understand that life is a race. Ooh, for each and every man. Sometimes people will treat you like worn out shoes, but they don't know that you can't lose. Come and be a winner. Be a winner now. You're a winner. Oh, baby. Oh,
Special guest for CITIUS MAG live from Eugene. I almost said Worlds. Like, it is day 3 and my brain is already mush. But we're joined now by Olympic silver medalist, 2-time world champion Trey Hardee, who's part of the NBC broadcast here in Eugene. I got thrown off almost because the credential says James Hardee, and I don't think as many people know that's your government name.
That's the government name. It's an easy screen. It's a nice screener to have when somebody like calls the house.
Yeah.
Like, can I speak to James? Like, nope.
Shut him down.
Yeah, exactly.
So being part of like the NBC team, what number trials, U.S. champs is this for you now?
I total, I'm not sure, but I got hurt in 16, didn't make the team, but came back and did the back half with NBC, and that was kind of like my first trials, and then did 21 to Tokyo, and then so this is my 3rd trials as, you know, a broadcast team member, getting to like talk about all of the good stuff.
That transition, like it looks seamless. I think, like from you. I mean, it helps to have the experience of knowing all of the events.
Yeah.
But I mean, what have you sort of made of like the broadcast side of things?
Well, shoot, it helps to like know the people.
Yeah.
Like in 16, that was easy. That was so easy. I get to come in and give this like really detailed inside knowledge. Like, hey, that person loves, you know, yellow cake, but then that person likes to watch scary movies the night before. And it was like, those are my people, you know? And then in 21, COVID restrictions made it really, really difficult. And it was a little more analytical, but, you know, it wasn't like reluctance, but I really wasn't, this wasn't like a dream. I didn't study journalism. I didn't have any aspirations of being on television or doing anything, but I love the fact that this is how I get to stay involved with the sport and be a steward or some kind of conduit for, at least on the field side, the like joy and awe of the spectacle of what these men and women are able to do. You know, like I think that gets lost a lot of times because field events are so technical and they're hyper technical, and we can become hypercritical of like everything they do. Like, that was good, but instead of just holy, can I cuss? Like,
yeah.
Holy shit!
This
Like,
isn't NBC.
like, you know, instead of just being like, oh my God, I cannot believe what I just saw, and what is this guy gonna do now? You know, like that's what got me to want to try it. And then now, honestly, our team at NBC, like the people that I get to interact with, from like Otto and Sonia, Lee, Paul, and Kara, like it's just a weird fraternity. Yeah. You know, it's been awesome.
I mean, talk about that team where a lot of you, yourself, you know, Sonia, you're all coming as former athletes, and you're saying you didn't have a journalism background, you didn't have experience in that. Like, how have you been able to learn to make things seem so seamless?
Constantly having someone in your ear, like a producer.
Yeah.
I've done it twice now, I think, with the ESPN broadcast of like the New York City Marathon. I was like,
5,
this is
4,
it's
3.
I can't. Like, it's hard. It's very challenging.
So last night, I'm in the middle of like putting a button on something, and usually it's like, and we got 3 more rounds to go. It is nuts down here. Back to you, Lee. And then Lee's taking us out, reading a card or doing something. And I'm about to do that, and the producer's like, Trey, take us to break. And I'm like, and so, and there's a part, like half of me is like, yeah, I'm gonna take it to break. And then the other half is like, oh my God, what am I gonna say? You shrivel up, and I just blacked out. And I go, y'all come back now. I said like, y'all come back. I said, y'all come back and see us. And everyone, so Paul Swanegard's to my right, everyone's to my left, and I could feel everyone doing the slow head turn, like, did you just say that? And it was kind of awesome. So you still panic, you're gonna mess up sometimes, but our group is really special because we do have that experience. Not I've been there, done that thing, but we do know, like, high pressure. We don't take things personally. Everyone's got the big boy pants on, and it really is like a good dynamic.
Yeah, well, it goes just to NBC's rich history of covering the Olympics, and just sort of like, there's always been within management and like the producer and all that stuff a great respect of how they present track and field, and I just did like the SI Sports Media podcast with Richard Deitch, and he was asking me just a ton of questions about like my thoughts on like how NBC covers, track. And I'm like, and especially at the Olympics, I'm like, it's always like a really awesome polished product because they know that these races and these broadcasts are things that people want to pull back, 20 years from now. And it's like, you want it to be this thing that stands the test of time. And so where there is sort of like that element of like the fans want fun, and like I love RG3 and what he brings to sort of like the ESPN side of things. At the same time, there's a balance to just sort of like, well, sometimes you like the traditional broadcast as well. So it's a great mix, I think, that has been assembled with the cast.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think there's a gray area between super objective professionalism and then just showing it as we see it and getting to call it as we see it. And I'm a big proponent of kind of that second screen thing and that adjacent like Manning cast version of things. I think that would do really well. I've talked to several people in management positions about having that job next year. Yeah. I think it's exciting, but again, you can go back. Tom Hammond kind of set that standard. You can go back and watch Usain Bolt's races, which really wasn't that long ago, but I think that he made the phrase "winning by daylight" an actual like household phrase, and they don't age. They just stay right there encapsulated, and that is it's a testament just to the NBC ethos and what we try to accomplish during those races.
And so talk about the growth that NBC has had in kind of broadcasting the field events. You're already kind of like diving into your mindset of like getting that excitement when, field events are going on. But I think back to like, I don't know, 2008. I was like super young, maybe watching the Olympics for the first time. And I don't know, I don't even remember many field events happening. But now at the Olympics, we have like separate feeds and, you're always like getting, pulled in to be able to do some commentary. Like how is NBC and the broadcast team kind of been able to really develop that growth and highlighting the field?
That's I think it's grown just as the appetite for media has grown. I think all of those different channels, you talked to Richard about it, where there's separate streams for different field events. There's different ways to consume a track meet, even on your phone. There's different providers. There's media rights up for grabs, right? And those little tiny meets that maybe weren't going to get coverage, now all of a sudden they're getting to sell their rights to these different providers. But NBC has grown along with that. With the advent of Peacock and the way that they manage that content, you can watch any Diamond League from the last several years right now. And it's right there for the taking, and you can watch whatever you want to watch, go back. And we really... I don't know. I don't want to take any credit for anything, but I think having Kara, myself, Sonia, and Otto as athletes, it's not. I don't know if we have more say than that we used to have, than people in our position used to have, but we fight for time, and we say this is what's important and this is what needs to be shown, and if we're going to get to Paris and have people know about X, we need to do it right now. And Paul Swangard and I, even in the middle of a broadcast now, and in Rio, I didn't do this at all. And in Tokyo, I did it just a little bit. But now, I've been doing it long enough. This is year number 8, Olympics number 3. I can put my foot down and say, we're going to show the freaking jump. We're going to show it live. We've got to show it live. And I can stand tall in that request and say, and even we do this before. We're doing it in production meetings. Like, hey, this is a spot where we might need to fight for. Give us 20 seconds, or give us 15 seconds, or hey, do this, and this. And you do that enough times, and producers start to turn around and go, hey, we're going to give you this time and give you this time preemptively because we know something great's going to happen, and we can tell the story as it unfolds. We did that in the men's shot put last night, really, really well, I think.
Yeah, I guess like that's been a topic of conversation recently, of course, with just sort of like all the new things popping up in the sport. Like obviously Michael Johnson's Grand Slam Track League announces no field events. The Ohanian meet in September, no field events as well. And the athletes are getting asked it by the media in the mix zone as to like, what are your sort of thoughts? The common thing that gets brought up, I think, Anderson, you've spoken to more of them, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just sort of like, well, they're like, it's not that the athletes aren't interesting, it's that the storytelling and the attention isn't there sort of on the broadcast. It's great to hear. I mean, you're the champion, like inside the broadcast that is like, fighting for that time. There's only so much that you can do. And so I guess from your side of things, what are the improvements that what the improvements are? It's just sort of like a track broadcast is just really hard to structure when there's just so many events you have to bounce from time and a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there.
And no one understands what it's like to produce an event with multiple cameras and someone down and a steady cam watching all the field events and following people around. The thing is, like with a race, you can tell your stories and build it up. And then when you film the race, you're filming everyone at that one moment. Everyone gets that opportunity. But when you film a field event, you can tell a story and share background and make people interested. And then you're just going to show the one thing. You're just going to show Joe Kovacs. And then you're going to try to connect that guy a few minutes later to Ryan Krauser, who's throwing 15 minutes later. The drama, I believe that there is drama in a 1500 and a steeple and a 5K and a 10K. You can see it unfold, and you can see decisions being made. You can see men and women break and come to and rise to the challenge. You can see emotion. You can see all that stuff. That every single field event is like that. It's just spaced out over a longer period of time. And to me, there's a place for all of that. I'm not telling everybody to do this, but pretty fortunate, been able to go to a bunch of street meets in Europe. It is awesome. It's a beer garden, it's thousands of people, and it's pole vaulting, and it's men, like we'd be on a balcony right now having beers, watching guys jump over our own heads. And it just is, it's a phenomenal piece of entertainment. And if I had all the time and the money in the world, that's probably what I'd be doing. I'd have my cape on and I'd be like, I'm going to save the field event.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. Happy that everybody is, putting their money where their mouth is and they're doing something. And it remains to be seen whether or not this big, broad viewing audience that comes and watches track and field, you're now alienating
the field
half of it, which is field events.
Yeah.
And then with Ohanian's thing, you're now alienating
even more
the male half of the track. And that people still tune in, but it just is an interesting thing, and it's a starting place. There's more money in track and field right now than there ever has been. Can't complain.
What is your sort of gut reaction as to where do the field eventers turn now? Like the Diamond League still is going to be like the top of what the regular season and the biggest opportunity to earn money until some other, millionaire out there comes out and says, all right, I'm going to pour money into exhibition events. And I agree with you, sort of like, no distance runner complains when it's like Mondo has his own pole vault meet, and that's like its own successful thing. And Red Bull pours a lot of money into that. And I think for the field events, sometimes that's just what might have to happen is like every one of them just gets sectioned off into their own sort of exhibition events too.
It is, and then on the field event side too, it's the 1%ers. It's those, Mondo's got his own meet because he's Mondo. Freaking Duplantis. So that's kind of how it's always been, and to earn a living as a field eventer, you're going to Europe. You're getting those frequent flyer miles. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, do you think, because I spoke with Joe Kovacs yesterday, and he said that he's in talks to try and get the shot put into like strongman events, right? Almost like segmenting off, shot put, and some of the other field eventers as well were like, maybe we need to actually do our own thing away from track and field, or away from the sport as it is now. I mean, I don't know, is that a good idea where we start to segment off, maybe come together for USA's Olympics, but everything else is segmented?
It's not track and field then.
Yeah, it wouldn't be track and field unless it was here. But I heard what Joe said yesterday. It makes a ton of sense. Like the Highland Games, I think, has done a good job of that. I don't know what their growth numbers are, but never heard much from that section of the world until really the last 5 years. And it seems like I keep seeing it on my feed now, like guys stepping in and doing Highland Games stuff at those kinds of events. And I don't have the answers.
Yeah,
I wish I had all the answers.
That's the $30 million question.
And
right?
this is so yeah, this is where I think about it for a little bit, and then I
Yeah.
just resign myself to doing the best damn job I can with this moment on a big, huge terrestrial network that has spent a lot of money to ensure that this is a great television show.
Yeah.
How do we knock this out of the park and present the best thing we can here? And I talk about this with Kara a bunch in our little special run club that we have to talk about things like this. And you're never going to make everyone happy.
No, never.
Of course not.
And I think people conflate an NBC show and who we're trying to reach and how we're trying to present the sport with the people on like the Let's Run message boards. Those are two completely different audiences that want two completely different things.
100%.
And so we try our best. My job as a field analyst is to bridge the gap between the people that know what it means to move your standards in the pole vault and know what it means to raise your grip 2 fingers, or they know what that means, versus your drunk aunt on the couch who's like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And you're like, listen, they're, like it's not that it's difficult, but it is, I think, it's a, what is it, Sisyphean? Sisyphus? Yeah, Sisyphean task. Like, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Speaking to that drunk aunt on the couch, like what are some of your favorite, because I know we're also at this point, this is a crucial time to hook sort of like those new fans who are just like, all right, this track is on NBC. I want to learn about these new people. There are these new athletes, because the last time I tuned into track, it was, and I just remember Bolt, right? Like now there are these crop of athletes, a Kovacs, who like, I turned to someone in the stands yesterday who was asking a couple questions, like, who is that guy? And I was like, he's the strongest athlete in the world. Like, and
yeah.
Like, there's no NFL player who's stronger than Joe Kovacs. And I threw it, and they're like, no way. And I was like, no, actually, like, you look at the stats out there, that what he's putting up in the gym. What are some of your favorite ones that like would, impact that casual fan right away, that you're like, all right, if I throw this out there, that person's immediately going to be blown away?
I liked, I think I did it last year, and I think, I don't remember how I presented it. It might have been at U.S. Championships last year, and it was somebody running down the runway with a pole, and at takeoff, they are faster than any of, they do the NFL metrics of speed. Who was the fastest receiver or fastest player in the NFL last year? I looked it up, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, those guys are running way faster than the fastest NFL player with a pole vaulting, just to try to provide some kind of perspective. But that's the other thing about NBC. It is very, if you do not know for certain, you can't say it. I know Joe's probably stronger than everybody.
Yeah.
But you can't confirm it. Like you can't say definitively, but you just say he's the most powerful guy in track. Like, he's powerful, he's this, he's that. And you play the cards that you're dealt as best you can. I can very easily, if I get like a little bit into, not technicalities, but if I get into that part, I can go way too insider baseball.
Totally, yeah.
Instead of just being in awe and joyful about what the heck we just saw.
Yeah, because you want to speak track.
I want to speak track.
Without dumbing
I
yourself
did it.
down,
So
yeah.
I taught Snoop Dogg how to pole vault this morning.
Yeah.
And very quickly he told me to stop talking. Like, dog, hey, man, I'm not jumping, man. Like, he told me to like tone it down a little bit. I was like, my bad, man. Here, you just gotta land on your back. Just land on your back.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it.
All right, we got to hear more about Snoop. I mean, he's here.
Yeah.
He'll be on the NBC, I think, an alternate broadcast or something? What are the plans around Paris?
I think he'll help do some primetime stuff.
Okay.
So into the night, he's gonna have some comments, I think, about a lot of different events, but he wanted to do some track and field stuff. And so he's here. We're getting a lot of B-roll, getting commentary. He raced Otto Bolden this morning.
34 for 200.
Yeah, and he was chilling.
Yeah, that's
impressive.
fast.
It's a good clip, but he was chilling. He could have gone much. I bet he could have backed it up and probably come through like a sub 70 lap, probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw you quoted something like "better watch out" or something like that. I don't know, but
for and it's real, right? Like, when people are just like, oh no, that's just like an NBC plug. But off camera before this, you're just like, he's in the truck, he's asking questions.
Yeah, he was super interested. He's like, don't kill me. And he was like, he learned what's his pole made out of. Like, he was all about that event. Like, I think it just is so
The
far
pole
out
vault's
of
his
people. Yeah,
event.
I don't know if it's his event, but he was like, this is crazy.
that seems like a weird first
people,
event.
Like, people do this? I'm like, yeah. Just trust me. And then we put it up at Mondo's world record, and he's like, shut the fuck. Like, he's like, no, they don't. but he's just a fan of sport, and I think he's a fan of the Olympics. And you talk about drawing in other fans and drawing in people and just attention and views and impressions and likes and all that stuff. That it's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's the follow through? Because it's like, post Olympics, and it's a challenge. I feel like everyone fights this fight every 4 years where, they're watching the broadcast, they're going to be hooked, and it's like there's so much momentum, and then we just there are a couple diamond leagues afterwards that take place, but it's just like the viewership numbers aren't going to be Olympic level for that kind of stuff. So it's like, I guess we don't know what the solution is, but what's the encouragement, I guess, you have for those new fans who we hook during the Olympics? Because I think about this Netflix series that's going to come out, right? Like, it's from what I've seen so far, really good. You become a Noah Lyles, Sha'Carri Richardson, Fred Curley fan. And then after that, the follow-through is like, I want to watch these people race. This summer, it's easy. You tune into the Olympic broadcasts. All right, but season 2, like, the follow-through is going to have to try and watch the Diamond League on Flow Track where there's a paywall and an obstacle to get there. Like, to hook a casual fan and have them fork over $30 a month, like, it's just not going to happen. So, like, the follow-through is, I think, the most important thing in the sport. And, like, the Olympics is a big one. It's just a huge challenge.
Yeah, but think about it every sport has a season as well. So, like, I went back, I've watched quarterback twice.
Yeah.
I want to watch Patrick Mahomes play football, and I can't. There's a chasm that you have to bridge, and you can bridge it through content.
Yeah.
And I think that the Netflix series is going to do a fabulous job of that. I have heard, obviously, I've only talked to track people, but legitimately, it is a good show. Like, and it made people who were in the sport that really didn't care about that event really start to care about that event and those people. And I think that that's how you have to bridge that gap. And I think absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I think that it's good timing that it's hitting right here. They'll get the Olympics, and it's just like, hopefully fosters an addiction, and hopefully fosters this want to and caring about those kinds of athletes. And then there's a little trickle down, like, oh, he lost to this guy. Who's this guy? And who's that girl? And how do they do that? Oh, what was that? That's pole vault? What is pole vault? And that's how it can start. But I think I do it, but I want a wholesale fix, but I don't think it's a wholesale fix.
No, right.
I think it's a little bit here and there.
It's going to take a long time.
And I think internet helps a lot.
Yeah.
And there were some organizations before you guys that kind of started to provide that content to bridge the gap, and there was a huge appetite for it, and there's a huge appetite for all of this, whether we're in season or not.
Yeah.
And it just has to start somewhere, right? And it's just this little bit here and there, and it's never going to be a straight line, ups and downs, but everything in the last couple of years has been kind of great.
Yeah. And building off that, like, because there's like a level of, I don't want to say like responsibility, but like athletes also pushing themselves out and like promoting themselves so that they can bring in, other fans and stuff like that. And I know during your time, maybe Facebook, I think, was like the big thing back then, but we didn't have like, Twitter.
I was one of those first Facebook accounts.
Were you posting like your pole vaults on MySpace or whatever?
You couldn't even, I had MySpace. Yeah, I had MySpace.
But like now with athletes, obviously internet is at their disposal. What's like the responsibility for them to also kind of, push out, whether it's
because it's hard to tell them, like, right, like your job is to train and be the best in the world. Oh yeah, by the way, also you need to hire a media team. It's a big ask. But some of the best, like Noah, Fred, Kenny, they know it's like I have to do this, and like it's good for them too. It shouldn't have to be, right?
Well, that's the first thing that I do, just me myself. Like when I hear someone has a soundbite of complaining about promotion or complaining about something, I'll go check their social and see how much they really care about it. Because whether they like it or not, that's a part of it.
Yeah.
You go check out any athlete's social media presence, any other sport, like household name or not, they are producing content, whether it's with a huge media team, an entourage, a crew, got a guy following them around with a camera. Like I coach NFL guys, they have guys that follow them around with cameras and do edits every day. And whether it's that or just what I do, which is just like, hey, I'm at CITIUS. What's up?
Yeah.
It's on you.
Yeah.
You're going to take this as far as you put the energy into it. And that's kind of the thing with social. and that marketing aspect is a lot of like one-to-one. Like unless you're just trying to offend people every day, you're gonna get engagement and you're gonna grow. And as long as you're an interesting, worthwhile athlete to market, people will want to do stuff with you.
And I feel like it's a partnership too, where the athlete, if they promote themselves, they put out content, then whether it's an NBC or whether it's like a Netflix, because I think like at least in the Netflix trailer, we see clips of like Sha'Carri from her IG, right? That's like content she put out. They probably put it into the thing, right? So I feel like it's a partnership.
We use athletes' social media stuff so much in our broadcast, in our research, in our preparation, because it's the most intimate look into what they're really doing and how they really feel, and because you get press conference versions of people, like you get, hey Trey with NBC, how you feeling? I feel good. Like no, really, like what's up? You're like, everything's good, just excited to be here. You're like,
press conference, everyone's lying. Someone's not good.
I know that your knee hurts. Like, you know? But it's not all on athletes. It really is.
No, it shouldn't be.
But it is on them.
Yeah.
There is something that they should feel some like, burden's the wrong word, but they should want to do it too. Like I don't care for social media that much. I'm older. But I can do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's important.
We're growing up with it.
I'm doing it all week while I'm here. I didn't do much leading up to it, but I'm doing it all week while I'm here because it's important. You know?
All right, I'm handing you a Hollywood budget. You get to produce your own Netflix series. The athletes agree to do it. What event are you picking? Obviously not the sprints. They already have their own
Women's
show.
heptathlon.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
We've got
the characters
biggest,
and the storylines are there.
Yeah, biggest, brightest upcoming star, Anna Hall. The ups and downs she's had this season would have been made for great television or great streaming. There are 7 facets of this thing. You got 7 episodes right there. You've got a country with a rich tradition. You've got, legends. You've got up and comers. But you've also got a really, really competitive international environment. And so you can invest in these characters and go see them take on the best in the world and live and die by those performances. I think that's where I'm putting my money.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like you have multiple episodes just by each event in the heptathlon already, or the decathlon, right? Like,
my address, if y'all want to start sending checks, is... Yeah.
Texas. One more quick thing, Trey, is just sort of like being in Austin. I think I've seen videos of you, Matt Choi, like together, working out. He's huge in the running space.
Yeah.
I've gone on a couple runs with him and been to Boston Marathon weekend, and I just see how many people stop that guy, for pictures and videos. That's the running space. The running space is totally different from the track and field space. We had Matt James, the guy from The Bachelor, come on by here, and he's one of those cases where it's like, oh, he's fully converted into being he's into running, but also a track and field fan, following the storylines. He's got his sort of favorite athletes. And how do you look and see some of these influencers in the running space? Matt's a great guy, and he's in our comment section and liking posts all the time. But it's there's also while we're throwing it out there, just sort of the impetus on the athletes and the people in the media. Some of these influencers, if we pull them in, they've got audiences that we can also just sort of try and drag some of those eyeballs to track.
I think that's the lowest hanging fruit.
Totally. And give them tickets.
And what Matt's done such a good job, that's who he is. The dude on all the videos, that's Matt. He's authentic, he's genuine, he's excited, and he really did turn what he was doing into a business.
Yeah.
And it's not this burden on him. It really isn't. It's not, he doesn't spend all day doing this, and this. It's just all right, here's what I'm going to do. I've got this post, I got this post. It doesn't, I've talked to him about it many, many a time, and it doesn't take that much effort to really do it. He does a fantastic job now, but his best months of growth weren't this overproduced, overhyped thing.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, the lowest hanging fruit is to bring in the people that are popular in these adjacent spaces. But once people get a taste, I've been thinking this whole time not to reference any kind of drugs, but this is an addictive sport.
Yeah.
It really is. Witnessing this stuff in person is so much different than catching it through a screen.
Yeah.
It's so hard to put in perspective how big these throwers are, how fast Sha'Carri is, how high these guys pole vault. Like it is hard to do, but then you get them here that one time, and you're tapping into millions and millions of different people from an audience that didn't know they liked track, and now they're finding out that they do.
Yeah, even like this morning when we had our group run here, there was some runners here from New York who were part of my club team, and this is their first time ever at Hayward. They're distance runners, they're fans of the sport. But the way that they said it was watching a 10K in person is just so much more different than just on the broadcast. Because on a broadcast you think this thing's longer than an episode of The Office, and to see it in person, being able to just watch all the different changes, they're that was exhilarating. And so to your point, getting out here in person, even though the flights to Eugene are a little pricey, it's so worth it.
$70,000 for this week,
minimum.
So, all right, Trey. Well, I feel like if we could go 2-3 more hours and we'd fix the sport, we'd have track and field in a healthy space. But I know you've got to go get ready for this broadcast, hang out with Snoop even more. I'm a little jealous of that.
We'll save it for another day.
And I'm sure we could pick this up, but it was great to just kind of hear your sort of perspective as to just sort of how we kind of stay together and also just continue to grow together. So thanks, Trey.
I'm here for it.
so much.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well, that does it for day 3 of CITIUS MAG live from Eugene. We'll be back tonight, rushing back after the 100-meter final.
100-meter men's final, yeah.
We should all start our watches and see how fast it takes us to get from there to here, because we might have qualified for the final.
Probably.
So we'll be back with our post-race analysis here on the CITIUS MAG YouTube channel. We'll see you in a couple hours.
Seems like you've been wasting time trying to find your place in life. You need to get your ducks off in